Well. Hello, how are we doing? Today we're going to jump into our track Nevergreen with Kellen Quinn, the acoustic version. So I kind of want to just take you through the reimagining of the song and how I thought about it. For any artists, producers out there, in terms of like the actual vocals, I don't think we recut anything. This was all about keeping the melody of the song, but changing the arrangement and changing the chords under it to take it in a different place. Like if you listen to the full song, the rock song is very like dramatic, up tempo, whereas this is much more lethargic, much more emo, I would say, much sadder. And yeah, we just took it to a different place. So let's jump straight in. This is how the song sounds.
I've been avoiding mirrors and my reflection in the glass, 'cause it hurts to see the man that I am now, I never should have let you go, and now I know that it should have been us.
Basically, we just start with the piano. And I remember sitting at the piano and trying to find something that felt sad. And then we switch up the chords for the pre. Yeah, this is just Keyscape. Absolutely love this library. Has amazing sounding pianos. Softest, LA Custom C7 Softest is my personal favorite. And then my main thing in here is I just go in here and tweak a couple things. I think mainly just make sure that reverb is sounding nice and sort of like warm and mellow, and so we don't get anything too brash in the actual piano. Under that, we've just got another piano just playing the real low notes. And the reason I do that is I like to have independent control of like the lowest bass piano notes, because I want that to basically fill the role of bass in the verses for us and sometimes treat it slightly different. And in this case, I just like treating the top end of the piano slightly different to the bottom. So we've got bass strings here. So this is probably just Kontakt session strings. Let's see. It is Session Strings Pro. Basses, production basses, sounds amazing. Really low. And then using Decapitator to get a bit more saturation out of it and to get a bit more of the top end of the bass. So you hear how that top end has a bit of crunch to it. Without it, not the same. It's not going to cut through in the same way that does. And so that's the stack that happens in the chorus. Second half of the chorus, we add another string layer on top. So really, we've transformed this into orchestral piece of music. The way in which like the chords evolve, it's sort of adding harmonic layers that sound good versus like, oh, this chord needs to happen next. I kind of love that. It's what makes it feel so sort of dramatic and like evolving. So again, that's just session strings on top, adding a layer that I thought sounded nice. So now we're into second verse. Let's get into the guitars when Kellen comes in.
Been cutting corners and wondering what you're up to. Is this a daydream or not? Where will I find you?
Really beautiful guitar part from Luke there. And you know, he's a very good guitarist, so that makes it easy. But also, if you notice his finger picking style is really clean. There's not that much buzziness. There's not so much like sliding between notes. He's playing on a Taylor, I believe. And I think it's called a V-Brace, but he might correct me and say I'm wrong with that. But we recorded it on a KM184, which is a Neumann microphone, pencil mic. Sounds amazingly sort of just clear and crisp. And honestly, not doing very much to that at all, as we can see. Just rolling off the low end with an EQ and just using a limiter to just crush it up a little bit and get a really consistent level out of it so that every note is a similar volume. And then we're just taking probably some low mids out because we don't need that sort of rumble in there. That is already played probably by the piano if we look. And I don't want them clashing. So yeah, look, the low end of the piano, that's what's in that part of the frequency range. And it's just amazing to be able to have a guitar sound that good with basically zero plugins on. And then we're back into second chorus. So really beautiful parts from Luke here. We've got a high chugging guitar line, same processing, really not that much going on, just taking some of the lows out. The key part actually to this guitar sound, the actual instrument itself is beautiful. It sounds amazing. But what we're doing is send 12. So it's going to be a reverb. And yes, as I suspected, Guitar Studio. It is a preset within FabFilter Pro R, which is an amazing reverb plugin. Highly recommend FabFilter stuff. I've definitely talked about it on here before. But that makes it sound like you're in a room. It makes it sound like Luke's over in a live room and we're hearing the space around him, and it makes it sound really, again, like dramatic and kind of somber. But then using the reverb to glue all the sounds together and make them sound like they're all from the same place is what really sells the song to my ears. And then let's just dive into the more dramatic piece.
Where are you now? Where are you now?
Again, strings, contact libraries, just playing complementary parts. This is probably just the same thing copied 3 times, but with slightly different patches, with cellos, maybe with violas, with a bass. One of the really nice ways to make things sound sort of packed and professional is, instead of trying to squeeze everything out of one sound, take whatever MIDI you have created and sounds good and is well thought out and duplicate it across different sounds, and then have them all fill a little bit of the frequency spectrum or slightly different. And then that final sound will always sound a lot purer and a lot fatter than trying to squeeze it out of one instrument or one sound. I like doing that in choruses, especially in breakdowns, just to make stuff feel really dense. So
I know your love is what I need.
So this is a big thing too, and one of the last pieces on this, the effects, really organic sort of orchestral effects. This is just a sample from a sample pack, and it's basically just a swell into a low kick. And I really like this for transitions. It's a great sound. You could definitely find similar stuff on Splice. Transitions are everything, and if you can find organic sounding transitions, I often find that that really sells a song much more than the electronic sounding stuff. And then we got a cymbal swell, and we've paired the cymbal swell with another reverse, which is actually a really low end sort of rip sound that I absolutely love. Then we've got a smash going on the 1, so that really makes it hit hard.
I live with your shadow now, burn into my memory. Sometimes we don't get it right the first time, so close back.
So on the final chorus, we have that Vox Requiem plugin from Kontakt with a female choir. Really adds to the sensation of the whole thing. Horns come in, probably playing similar chords that we've talked about in terms of layering the same MIDI in different instruments, filling different spots, feeling really dynamic. And then one of my main things that I want to give away to you guys, if you don't have it already, I'm guessing you do, but Labs, I can hear it in there. I'm just not sure exactly where it is. It might be down here. The little twinkly ones. Here. So this is Labs. This is the felt piano. Without the plugins, it's like this. It's already very beautiful. It's doing a lot already. And we dial this up to get more reverb, more space on it. It's a free plugin. You have to get it if you don't already have it. But what I love to do is basically crush the crap out of it and make it sound really distorted and really sort of buzzy, but then it feels really like a pedal tone as some sort of atmosphere, like pulsating through the track. And then just tame the bits you don't want with an EQ, and then spread it so it's nice and wide, and the image sort of, it feels like it's going dung on each ear. And again, that paired in with all the orchestral elements really feels super dramatic. So yeah, so that really feels big when it hits there, especially with the orchestral thump down the bottom, like we talked about with the effects. And then in terms of the vocals, probably doing my pretty standard chain. So on my voice, we've got auto-tune, EQ, noise gate. So just any of the sort of unnecessary gaps in performance, the gate will come on for us. Heavy compression on this one, just getting the vocal all the way up there in terms of level. Pro MB, my favorite preset, presence and control, just bringing the vocal slightly forward. Pro MB again, taking more of the low mids out. Pro Q3, Fab Filter again, basically targeting more of like the mud in the vocal, and then a little bit more of the like higher up mud, which I see as the boxy frequency you hear in your car. Like this 175, you're not really going to notice that much in your car. It'll sound low and rumbly, but like this stuff, 500, is where you will lose intelligibility in the vocal. So we're pulling some of that out. And then Soothe, the absolute classic de-esser from Heaven. And then the Marg, just giving a bit more top end to the vocal. Look, 40k and plus 8. I mean, we're not pissing around with that. We're giving it a hell of a lot of lift there. And then what I've done is I've gone for a similar treatment on Kellens. If you can notice, basically it's very similar chain. And he's got his own bus. We both have slightly different buses. Because if you notice, this is panned 22 to the right. And Kellens is 21 to the left. I don't like panning them always exactly the same. I like doing just slightly different panning. I feel like sometimes it feels more natural if they're not identically different, if that makes sense. If they're slightly sort of axised off independently. We have it left and right for a reason, because they don't clash as much. The vocals don't clash as much. They have more space. It feels much more like a duet, like it should do. And to me, it just sounds a lot more enjoyable to the human ear. That happens on every chorus. And one is going up the right, one is going up the left. They're lead vocals. They're treated like lead vocals. And then the backing vocal stack's exactly the same as we always do. We have a double left, we have a double right, and we have a harm left, and we have a harm right. They come in pretty heavily. So that's all the layers coming in, and all these harmonies, high harms, low harms, just stack in there. And let's just have a look at the backing vocal bus. Last thing we'll do, we're just pulling out some lows and some super lows. So that's 240, and that's everything centered at 60. So that's really, really low. Just getting rid of all the crap that we don't need. And that's pretty much it, guys. I hope you enjoyed that little breakdown. The real great piece of this is, although obviously it's a bunch of work to make it sound like this and get it this dramatic, it's a really fun exercise to have a song that you've already recorded and you've already done all the work on the vocals and stuff, and just completely reimagine it. Literally mute. If you look here, we've basically muted. This is the same project as the Rock project was, but every single thing has been muted, and I've just gone in there and recorded a bunch of new stuff. And it was really fun, starting with a completely blank canvas, except for the melody, which you already love because you're putting the song out. And again, it's kind of a great way to add another song to the catalogue that listeners who like more sort of somber, dramatic stuff, it's more low tempo, might love, and it might be a gateway drug into your music. But anyway, look forward to next week. Hope there was some nuggets in here that you enjoyed. Thanks for giving this a watch. We appreciate it. All right. Bye, guys.